All right, guys, take a look at the disclosure, and then we'll get right into the recap. Here we are. It's 4:14. Hopefully, you took a look. All right, guys. Hello. Welcome to today's recap. What is today? Today is Tuesday, and it was definitely an interesting day. Yesterday, we had that big, sharp decline. I think we were down 950 at one point. After that was a pretty, I wouldn't say bearish action, but late last week, we definitely saw a lot of reasons to take risk off, which we did. So it came in yesterday basically flat, long a lot of gold, and then at the end of the day, I kind of got cute, was in the spiders, and then we're trading after hours and what more. And last night it looked like the futures were down 500 points, and then we opened up based on news that the Juan, however you say it, got back above 7. So anyway, I feel like I kind of was saved because I had way too much overnight into that momentum down. So between yesterday and today, does that mean we have a bit more time to work off this oversold nature? It feels like it. I don't think you need to be big either way, but it does seem like, obviously, we'll see what happens with Disney. I think Disney missed on revenues. I'm not sure where it's trading. We have some leftover options, which we'll get into. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. So let's just quickly go to the videotape, if that's what you're going to call it, or the S&P. Okay, so here we are in the S&P. Let me take a close look here. All in all, from the acceleration trend break at 29.80, we went all the way to 28.20, which is 160 handles below the 8 and 21 day. Say that again, 160 handles below the 8 and 21 day. So if you sold here, which was when the accelerated trend broke or got short there, yesterday made some sense to cover some, maybe buy a little bit, etc. We're still a little bit above the 200 day, so that trend is right there. The gap still is up here. All the moving averages, which is real resistance. If it wanted to bounce back and test the moving averages, it would probably move down. I do think that there's another day or so, or a few days of this. If you're short, you can get pushed a little bit to the upside, and if you go home long, who knows? Maybe this was an inside day fake out. I am a little net long. What am I net long? Spiders were, when the market's under pressure, I'm not exactly sure which name is going to be the best name. Sometimes I go with the indices. Just so if all of a sudden you think the market's going to be up and you're in two stocks that aren't up and the market's up, you feel bad about yourself. So at least you take, some of the indices. So at this point, this was the halfway mark. I said in order to push back the bears, you'd have to go over half of this. And I did tweet at you guys, I think around 11:30, saying, hey guys, it feels like they were pressing and pressing the market. They can't, break the spies. I would buy it versus the lows. So versus the lows mean versus a level. That means you're defining your risk. I believe the spies were like 284 something there. If you want to go real quickly for a lesson, the 1 day chart was right here. Okay, you had your double bottom. Okay, kind of filled the gap. And I think somewhere around here, actually, we got pretty lucky because I bought the spiders when I tweeted to you guys. I said, I'm buying the spiders versus the low. Thank goodness it didn't break the low. It got pretty damn close. And then when I was at the gym, I called up and I said, I was watching the action. I kept seeing them trying to press. And I'm like, you know what? They're not bringing it in. Chances are we go back to the highs. I called the trade support, said, buy me some more spies. VTF sees me buy it. I added to it. Okay, I didn't tweet and say I added to my spies. Things are acting well. Just because, again, I was from the gym. I wasn't sure. I wasn't, buying Amazon and Google and all the names you also could have bought instead of the spies right here. So anyway, bought it there. And then, I looked a little bit later, had a big move. That's when I tweeted, said I'm taking some off, but I'm still in it. And then, I actually took some off into the high. And then, towards the end of the day, I'm like, let me buy a little bit just to have, because I do think there is a chance, that we fill this gap. Again, look where the moving averages are. Look where we came from. I know that if we do try and get into this gap, I'll probably be buying it just for a trade because you figure it squeezes some shorts and you have a little bit of room. Sometimes you push into it, it's a good long, and then all of a sudden, it comes back below that pivot, and then you get a good short considering where it was here. There's lots of different ways to play a gap, but for me, I'm thinking, who knows, maybe, tomorrow, if we open down, I would be like, okay, after a bounce type day, futures are down X amount of handles. Let's see if we could hold, yesterday's low or Monday's low. What's yesterday's low, which is today's low? That's 284.28, which is above the 200 day. So you could put that in. That's 284.28. And if we opened up tomorrow in the gap, then I would say, hey guys, we had a decent bounce yesterday. If you held some leftover longs, I would trim some into this area, or know where the gap gets filled, because then the pressure's off. But doesn't mean it's a short right there, because sometimes they do push it a little bit above. The Qs, what'd you do today? Same kind of thing. Everything, we have an inside day around. Sometimes you have a few inside days, sometimes you have one. All in all, though, this inside day looks decent, to the fact where if you think it gets more of an oversold bounce because the oscillator's minus 40, it was minus 70 yesterday, then there's still some room up to the moving averages. Not saying we're getting back up to there, no way, and that's a different conversation, but it could fill this gap, or put a topping tail into the gap. So we're very short term, so we could, buy it, trade it through, take some along the way, and then all of a sudden you get a sell program and it trades back below this level. Then all of a sudden you have a red dog reversal down here, and then who knows, maybe it comes back down there. So we'll see how tomorrow develops. Hope, the best trade, to be honest, is if we're down small, if you're down like 6-7 handles, and then you could buy versus a low, buy versus today's low tomorrow, or even Monday's low to go green, then push in the gap. Versus if we just open up into the gap, then it's hard to buy, and you're just going to sell what you have, and then figure out where you might want to, put some shorts on, or see what holds up best. So let's just move to some of the stocks. Google happened to be one of the strongest ones today. It actually pushed into the gap, came off it a bit, but you'll see other names. Other names did not push into the gap. So if this was strong enough to push into the gap, and you're still long a little bit, it's okay. But at this point, it's still below the moving average. It's fair. It's just, to me, Google is sloppy. That's why I went with the options, and it did not hold the post earnings gap, so it didn't stay special. So it wasn't worthy of you holding the stock. If you have options like I do that are basically worthless, it's better than holding your nose and going underwater anyway. Amazon was a little crazy today. Not really crazy, but it opened up. It was the first to go red. Here's the pattern. Here is nothing so special. It's just holding this area. This too, tried to push into the gap. Went as high as 1793. So that's today's high. So in order to get to 1808, what does it have to do tomorrow? Get above 1793. Jeff's been selling. I think his wife's been selling. It's been beat up, battered and bruised. This is the overall pattern. You want to take a short-term look at it. This to fill the gap, what you see, didn't get in the gap today. It's still below the 200-day, would be here. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If it opens up in it, some guys took it home long, but to me, this is no true signal to take it home long. So unless you're really an Amazon fan. But again, if we rally, usually this rallies with it. And this room to here, just to the moving averages. So there's potential there. So if you've been short and you made great money, and you say, I'm holding Amazon, it's going lower, then just know that it could go up to the moving averages. It could fill this gap, or it turns down tomorrow, breaks 1748, and you have a good trade. We'll see. I'm in some Facebook. Facebook, for me, I feel like is a little easier to handle. Right now, I don't feel like getting blindsided, but who knows? Maybe there'll be news that just jinxes me now. But anyway, these moving averages are all the way up here. This still had really good earnings. It just wasn't in a good earnings environment where it failed. So today is my first day. I'm taking home a little bit of Facebook long overnight, just because I wanted a little bit of long exposure, just in case we're up tomorrow. I feel like, Google, Trump might say something about China, Apple, China trade, Amazon, still the Washington Post, him selling, the wife selling. I'm like, you know what? Facebook, I feel a tiny bit safer with, so it'll be ironic if it has bad news. But anyway, today's high is 185.79. So we'll see how it handles that spot, 185.79. In order to fill this gap to 188, it's got to get above 185.79 now, which is a buck and change. And then if it wants to move to go to the moving averages, it could do that too. So anyway, first little green bar in a while, so I took some. Twitter, I didn't take. It held in there. Overall, still none of these things. All these things need time. If you had to be long something, this one, it's not like it's up, usually up or down a lot. It's more of a swing. If you stayed in your swing because you said, hey, it didn't fill the gap, okay. If you get out of your swing because you said, hey, it broke 40.90 the other day, that's good too. Now, just give it some time here. We'll see what happens there. Snap also, I think, did it hold 16? Yeah, it's fine. Just, nothing is in such a big rush. Where's Disney now? Disney. All right, Disney, obviously, I guess the numbers were the right numbers. It sounded like the revenues were so bad that I thought there was a wrong number in there. Anyway, I guess I made some decent decisions. What was my decision? Well, yesterday I bought the options for 137. I tweeted to you guys that I bought some options for 137 because it's already down a lot and the other options are probably too far out of the money. So I bought them for 4. I sold some for almost 6. So that was, paid for half of them. And then the 135s, 45s I had, I just got rid of because I'm like, you know what? These are $1.50 because there's option premium. It's trading at 141. I'm like, I need $6 just to break even. Let me take back my dollar or so in premium for however many calls I have. So I salvaged it. Sometimes you got to feel the market out and say, is this worth it? Is it worth rolling the dice? Can this actually deliver? And if it doesn't, you just take it off. And if you miss it, you miss it. Remember, we did that when pins. It was like pins. It was pins, Square, and Etsy. All 3 of them, I was gonna have calls in. I'm like, you know what? I don't just see FOMO anywhere. So I got out of, I didn't buy Etsy. I got out of Square, and I unfortunately got out of pins, which wound up being good. So anyway, let's take a look at pins as we're talking about it. You gotta realize the environment you're in. Pins was weaker today. Kind of cute that it was strong the 2 days the market was weak, and then it was weaker. It held where it had to, though. I'd like to see this hold this gap, and with time maybe it gets going again in a better market. Beyond was weak today. Pretty much closed into the 160, broke one. If you were long it, you had to sell it when it broke this 171, and now it'll be interesting. I know it was priced so low because the major funds said, if you want me to hold it, you better give it to me in the whole. So now we'll see what they do with it. Do they support 160 when everyone's trying to short it into it, and then do they say, I'm out of here, or do they hold it here and make a fight for the stock? So we'll see what happens tomorrow. This bar, if you just think about it, would probably be a short signal, considering it took this out, closing the lows on a strong day. It seems like something's cooking there, but it is beyond, but who knows? So if you had to be in something, you'd have to be shorted overnight, not long it, unless you're guessing. Where'd it go? It didn't break 160, so we got to put this a little bit below. To me, maybe we'll look for a red dog to reversal tomorrow. I haven't traded it since we got shorted for the secondary, thinking it would be priced in the hole. GLD, I made some maneuvers today. We'll look at it up after the hours. Yesterday, I sold the 137s that we bought for like 95 cents for $2.50, which was a nice trade. We put that on Thursday, so here we are on Tuesday. Actually, it was a 2-day trade. And then what I did today is the options I bought for October, which is still 2 months away. I probably should have just not looked at them, but I created a spread. So I bought, I bought them well, and then today I'm like, the 140s are $3.50. That's 143.5. My target is 144 to 147. It might not even be by October. So right now, after this big move, let me sell some calls, so this way, if it it doesn't go in fast, and burn off some premiums there. So I still have about a half straight, meaning if gold goes nuts, I get the full amount. If gold goes above 143, I'm capped, which is fine. We bought it when it was like 134, so that's a $9 trade in GLD in the options. And for me, I'm not a really, I don't love to focus on gold because there's so many things and so many variables, and I'm not that smart. So anyway, it looks like it's up here. One more look what's the spiders doing after hours. It is a little bit lower, probably because of Disney. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And I got to jump and catch this ferry. Hopefully you guys had a good day. Wasn't easy. They did try and sell them. The plan was they're going to try and sell them, and if they can break them out lower, they're probably going to get a nice push, and that's pretty much what happened. And if you had some longs, a lot of guys were, which was very risky, buying after hours yesterday. I did it up until 4:30. Guys were doing it at 6, 7 o'clock at night. You guys double dipped. You got paid in your P&L yesterday, and then they were up today. You were able to sell it and make money. That doesn't always happen, and sometimes you can get really hurt doing that, so take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good night.